Success and authenticity. Can you think of two words that are more used in 2021 than success and authenticity? But doesn't it feel like we haven't figured this whole thing out? I mean, if being authentic means just being yourself, how come you have to try to do it? And how come so many of us get it wrong? There's a tie between success and authenticity. And our guest today, Erin Marcus from Conquer Your Business, has a great outlook on this exact topic, and it's a conversation not to be missed. Plus, we have a new feature to announce for the Idea Collective Retreat. So stay tuned for that. This is Small Business Rally Point, a weekly conversation built for and hosted by small business owners. I'm your host, Pat Miller, the Idea Coach and the founder of the Idea Collective. Now, the Idea Collective is a place where small business owners come together to co-work and collaborate and support one another on our small business journey. I'm a firm believer that someone in Illinois is facing the same stuff that someone from Texas or California or Oklahoma is facing. And when we talk with one another, we can share our secrets, we can help each other solve problems, and we can all get further together. That's the magic of the Idea Collective, and it's something that we started building in early June of 2020, and we are still going strong now in 10 states and 4 countries. By the way, a big shout out to our sponsors today. Our conversation is sponsored and presented by Bank59, Quick Trip, and Serendipity Labs. Okay, let's get into this conversation that I am so excited to have. Our guest today is Erin Marcus of Conquer Your Business. Erin, I saw your website. You do so many cool things. I'm not even going to try and explain all of your cool things. So it's great to see you. Explain to everyone who you are and what you do.
Who I am and what I do. All right. In a nutshell, Erin Marcus, Conquer Your Business. I work with entrepreneurs really at that intersection where what you need to do meets who you need to be to do it. Because if I gave you a plan, it wouldn't matter if you can't be the person to do the plan. And at the same time, if all you're focusing on, for entrepreneurs anyway, is the life coaching side of things, the feel better, be happier side of things, I'm all for feeling better and being happier, but it's really about taking the action. So that intersection becomes so important. And my ultimate goal is to help you save time, make more money, and really just build a life you're proud of. That's what I do.
It strikes me when you talk about your business, you talk about the person you need to be successful. I've heard very few people describe it that way. Can you elaborate just a little bit more on that? Because not many people say it that way.
Well, it's different than corporate. It's so different than having a job. There's someone you need to be. You need to be able to take a risk and not pass out. That's why I'm a big fan of automation. So like when you do pass out, things still happen regardless of how you feel about them. You need to be strategic. You need to be proactive instead of reactive. You need to be of service. Like seriously, that's my litmus test for everything I do. Are my sales conversations of service? Is my marketing of service? You need to be of service so that you're about the other person. There's a lot of things you need to be, a lot of traits you need to have in order, not just, I don't want to say, I'll say it this way, to be successful, not to achieve something. You can kind of be a jerk and achieve something, okay? Let's face it. We see it happen enough where we know that that's an option, right? We know that that's an option. And I'll put it like this. One of the best pieces of advice that I was ever given was you don't get the business you deserve. You get the business you ask for. Which explains why idiots are so successful sometimes because they're just willing to go out there and ask for business. But here's the thing, if you have to ask for the business, that requires that you have a level of confidence, that you have control over your self-worth. There's things that come into play that make it possible for you to ask for the business.
And when you say
with the plan.
And when you say the person you need to be, that relates to the traits that you need to exhibit. But then today's conversation is about authenticity. And as I said at the top, everyone's talking about authenticity. While they pump out thousands of takes across thousands of different social media channels, I contend very few people have that many things to authentically say. So if you're trying to create content, you're trying to put yourself out there, you're tying authenticity into success. So how do those two relate with one another? Because I think it's really intriguing.
So where this came about for me is I have a podcast. You've been on it. That was fun. I'm sure you'll be on it again. We have no shortage of things that we need to discuss. And it's all about, the whole idea was, ready yet? Are you ready to be the person it takes to do the things you want to do? And what came out of it? And now I've had over 65, 70 conversations with people, is that when you have a job, you succeed by becoming the perfect inauthentic version of yourself that fits in their box so that they can decide whether or not you get to move to the next level. Conversely, as an entrepreneur, your success is tied to embracing your authentic self because, and I hate to give everybody the bad news, but most solutions are the same. There's like 5 versions of things out in the world. We know this year, especially, and I'll age myself here, but in the last 2 weeks, they're redoing Chucky, they're redoing Fantasy Island, they're redoing have they run out of ideas? They've redone the first 20 years of my TV and movie viewing. So if everybody's solution is somewhat the same, the way to draw your ideal person to you is by being authentically you so that they know whether or not you're their person. Right? One of the things I learned when I got my MBA, there's no money in the middle. There's no money in the middle. If we're all just beige, nobody feels you, nobody's connected to you. The number one thing people tell me when they choose to reach out to finally have a conversation with me is, I just need somebody to be honest with me already. And I knew you would be honest with me. Mm-hmm. Because that's my authentic self. I'm not of service if I'm blowing smoke up your skirt and telling you the dream that's not obtainable. That's not of service.
Okay, so there's a lot there that you just shared. Okay, so the idea that there's no money in the middle makes a lot of sense, and that's a great way to say it, which can lead to embracing who you are and how you provide one of those 5 solutions that you mentioned that are out there in the big picture. So if you go from being descriptive about your product or service, and you're adding now your personal authentic self, your personal story, who you are and why you're different, how do you start to embrace that? And how do you take a step away from product and service and more to the authentic way that you're delivering what you do?
It's really, it's a mixture. And this is where I always go back. And I just realized Talmar was here live and I haven't seen her in months and months and months. So I'm very excited. It's that mixture. What do you need to do? Who do you need to be? For me, it so often goes back to that mixture. So what do you need to do? It's the outcomes. You need to talk about the outcomes you provide. Nobody cares about your process. The problem is we've all worked so darn hard to get our designations and to get our process, and we think it's important, and it's got this false sense of prioritization. So it's a mixture of the outcome-based language, and then the who do you have to be part. It goes back to overcoming the fear of rejection, the fear that someone won't like you, so that you could be 51 years old, shave half your head. I got a new tattoo last week and my mother doesn't know that yet, right? This is just it. Okay. This is just it.
But that's hard. I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's hard. It is.
I'm 51 and doing it, not 21 and doing it.
Yeah, that's true. It's hard. I would say it's probably harder for people that are just starting out, but the people that figure it out faster probably get further. You don't just wake up one day and say, okay, I'm just going to be me. At least some people don't do that. It's not, it sounds like it's the most natural thing in the world. Put a duck in the water and the duck swims, but that's not what happens. At least that's not what happens as often as it should.
So start small. You know, one of the things that I teach a lot about is overcoming fear. I teach a lot about overcoming fear. And I do it by sharing stories of how I've learned to work with wildlife, because I volunteer every week at a wildlife rescue. And I'm really scared of the giant goose. So what could we do? You know, you start small. What's a little thing that you could put out there? And then you get that win and you get that boost of confidence. There's some people like me, and I get it. I'm real good at be scared and do it anyway. I don't know why, but I am. But not everybody is. So you can be scared and do it anyway. You could start small and build your way up. And I will absolutely tell you that action cures fear. My motto for 2019, and I'll tell you something else. 2018, now that we're far enough away from it, 2018, I now fondly look back on as Erin's year of failure. Nothing I tried worked. I made $11,000 in 2019, which, coming out of corporate with a 6-figure income and an expense account, was horrifying. And I will tell you, by end of this year, I will have doubled what that 6-figure income was in corporate. So that quick turnaround is so possible. And the number one thing I did was I just started to be me in response to how I could help people. If I would show you my logo and my marketing from 2019, you'd be like, really? You thought that was okay? Like, someone that's so not you. That's so not anything I know about you. And action is what cures fear. And in 2019, that was all over every space. Action cures fear. Do the thing, even if it makes you nervous.
We're talking with Erin Marcus. We're talking about how success and authenticity are intertwined. And I guess I want to say is, how do you know if you're not being authentic? That sounds, again, like an obvious question, but how do you know if it's not the way that it should be?
That's a great question. Two things pop into my mind right away. Are you copying somebody else? Are you doing it because somebody else is doing it? Are you trying to, in the words of Scott McCain, who is just a master at teaching distinction, and his latest book, Iconic, a couple years old now, are you trying to out McDonald's? Are you just copying somebody? And maybe, I'll just say it, I'll have a comma. I'll put a sailboat on my meme instead of a sunrise.
A compass. You got to have your compass on your logo, right?
Wait, are you just copying somebody? The other thing I will tell you is it doesn't feel right physically. It doesn't feel right. Whether you feel it in your chest or in your gut. If there is like a clench anywhere, then there's a story.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's a story. I have a physical tell when I am scared. Yeah, Susie, thank you. The puffer factor. Exactly. It's somebody else's stage. I'm trying to control myself.
You know what, Erin, be you. Be you. This is all about authenticity. Don't be controlling it now. Come on.
Authenticity, and then there's all right, Erin.
Seriously.
I have a physical tell when I am scared out of my mind and going in the right direction. I physically vibrate. I physically vibrate. And that's how I know this is the path. This is me. And this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
It's interesting that you say that, because I know when I'm doing that, my personal tell is when the music that I like sounds good.
Right?
When I'm not in my right place, or I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I'm conflicted, I'm upset, I'm not clear. The music doesn't sound good, and I work in silence. When the music sounds good and I turn it up and I feel that flow, that's when I know that I'm not blocked. I know that I'm moving in the right direction. So I can totally relate with what you're saying.
And so one of the things you're describing, which is one of my favorite things, going back to who you need to be. You need to become an observer of your own behavior, not a reactor.
Mm-hmm.
You need to become an observer of your own behavior so that you can learn where you get tripped up. What am I doing when I'm scared to avoid doing the thing? And this all goes back to the authenticity piece, because all of the things that are keeping you from doing the thing that makes you vibrate are inauthentic.
Do you think people can tell when you're faking it?
Yeah. Oh God, they can tell when you're faking it. Absolutely.
And when they know you're faking it, how do they respond? What do they say to you? What do they observe, or do they just not care?
They say nothing to you. They scroll right past you.
Mm.
They say absolutely, the stop the scroll. They don't stop.
Yeah.
They don't ask you questions. They don't engage. And interestingly enough, it's they don't know why. They don't always know why. I mean, this comes up in sales conversations where someone they'll hesitate, but they won't really know what's wrong. They just kind of don't believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw someone put in the chat, fake it till you make it. It's more like emulate your muse until you can own the space. Like, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be as a muse? Who do you see? Full transparency, I've been following Pink for, I'm a couple years, I got a couple years on her, but since she came out. And to me, she embraces her authenticity. Who in your sphere could you emulate as embracing their authenticity? Not to recreate them, but to inspire you, to be more you.
On the flip side, some people think being authentic is spilling their guts and oversharing, saying everything. This is what I had for breakfast. And oh my gosh, I've got this medical diagnosis. And like, they're an open book, and that's me being authentic. And you have to deal with it, because that's my truth. Like, you hear people say this all the time, and God bless, but like, how do you know the difference between being authentic and oversharing?
So two things, because you told me I don't have to control myself.
You don't have to control yourself. Talmar's here. She'll keep you straight.
Two things about that. Are you just trying to feel better, or are you trying to help somebody? Do you just need the accolades so you feel better? Jennifer's having a meltdown. Right? Do you need somebody to acknowledge you? Like, you cannot be authentic if you don't have self-worth. And if you have a strong sense of self-worth, I don't need somebody externally to tell me that I'm okay. Mm-hmm. Sharing your story, how I call 2018 is my fear of failure. Learn from my mistakes, shorten your learning curve. However, if I'm mired in the mess, that's not sharing my story to help you shorten your learning curve. That's, misery, love company, poor me, please buy my widget, poor me. Mm-hmm. I can't handle that. The other half of your answer, that's just my truth, is not permission to be a jackass. I don't know, how far can I go? A jerk, right? If your truth ends where somebody else's begins.
Yeah.
Your rights end where somebody else's begins. And if your truth has any effect on what they should or should not do, then it isn't about you anymore. And that's a different problem.
We only have a few moments left with Erin Marcus, Conquer Your Business. We're talking about the relationship between success and authenticity. If you have a question, put it in the chat. And there have been some great comments and quotes put into the chat. Your comment of you can't be authentic if you don't have self-worth. That makes a ton of sense. So Talmar, thank you for capturing that. And Erin, let's just make sure we don't gloss over that. Getting to authenticity means getting to, I don't want to say self-confidence, but at least identifying that you have to have enough self-confidence to put yourself out there. So how do you get the running start to then put yourself out there authentically?
I'm a big fan of surrounding yourself with people who will support that effort. Who you surround yourself with matters so much. There's a woman currently in a mastermind I'm part of who's having a meltdown with some really difficult family who doesn't want to see her succeed. And thankfully, she has a group of people around her who are supporting her in her authentic drive to be more. If you are surrounded with people, the whole misery love company, if you are surrounded with people who for whatever reason, even it's the worst when they're your loved ones. It's the absolute hardest when they're your loved ones, because they're trying to protect you and they're scared on your behalf. But it's small, but go ahead, take small bites, put something out there, but then just keep going. And, one of the things that it's in the largest font in my daily routine and my pages I go through, the bottom line is this: your number one superpower as a human being is your power of choice. It's your power to choose. And at the end of the day, when you're mired in the crazy, and some people are, raining on your parade, and some people would rather you just not try, at the end of the day, you get to choose. Am I going to let this stop me? Am I going to move forward? Am I going to take the next step? Am I going to quit? And that's why the Conquer Your Business, the tagline is be in charge, take action, get results. At the end of the day, the choice is truly yours.
You talk about surrounding yourself with the right people. And I'm getting my goosebumps now as I talk about the Idea Collective and thinking about what we're trying to build. And we had a really neat event. You weren't there. It was an invitation event. We were doing a video shoot on Friday. We had 10 members of the community come and talk about the Idea Collective because we're shooting a promo for the retreat that we're doing. And I sat there in the background and listened like a producer to make sure that we got all the stuff that we needed. And I heard engaged member after engaged member talk about the emotional side of what they get out of being a part of the Idea Collective, that they can come there on good days and bad days. They can come there when they don't know what to do, or they're seeking clarity, or they want some confidence. It wasn't, I grew my business 15% by joining. Like, it had nothing to do with that. Yeah, we talk business, but when you talk about surrounding yourself with the right people, it was really great to sit at that event on Friday and hear the members talk about that. It was rewarding, right? Because that's the type of place that we're trying to bring together online. So when you said that, that made me go, yes, that's what I want. That's what I want.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We've only got a few moments left. I want to ask you real quick. So if someone needs to take that first step, you say, take small steps, start with something. If someone needed to do it, they knew they needed to do it, how would you challenge them by Friday to do that? What would you encourage them to do?
I tend to push gently, Megan, but I do tend to push. I would challenge somebody by Friday, and Monday's over, to reach out to 25 people and talk to them about their business. Check in with people, GAS conversations, give a shoot, check in with people, create your KIT, AIR, ask for advice, information, and recommendations. Too many entrepreneurs, even though they network, are trying to create what they're creating in a bubble. And one of the things, Pat, that I know is one of your secrets to success that you do so amazing, we've talked about this before, is build community. It's not easy. What an entrepreneur does is not easy. And we've talked about surrounding yourselves with the right people. My number one thing is to just reach out. You're going to get over the fear of rejection. You're going to get over the fear of failure. And I promise, if you reach out to 25 people, there's going to be 2 people in that are going to change your life.
That's a challenge. I love it. Erin Marcus of Conquer Your Business, thank you so much for coming on. It's a great conversation. We could have talked for another 45 minutes, but we got to get going. So thank you very much. And I got to tell you, we got to find a way to get you in the Idea Collective, Erin. We just got to do this.
I know.
This has to happen.
So the good news is the reason I couldn't come to your November event is now a virtual reason. So I'm thinking I'm not traveling. So I might be able to pull this off. I might be able to pull this off.
Susie, make it happen. All right. Susie Moon is going to stalk you. We're going to make this happen, but getting you inside the online community would be great.
Absolutely.
You'd be a great member. You're definitely one of us. So Erin Marcus, thanks again. I really appreciate it. All right. So let's keep going here. We're now under 60 days away from said retreat, and we are launching a new bonus today. So if you know someone that doesn't have a ticket yet, Erin Marcus, we have something that we can share with you. Now, maybe you've heard me talk about this. So I have this vision of creating a clothing line for small business owners, because I think my founding premise about what I'm doing in general is that there's a lot of support and celebration for startups. Oh, startups are sexy. They're sexy because they go from zillion to a billion, and other people can make money on them. No one gives a darn about small business owners because generally you might make some money, but very few other people do. So we're treated like consumerism. Hey, go support a small business, or maybe we should shop for a small business or a restaurant. But no one knows what to do with us. So no one's celebrating our journey, and no one's celebrating our fact that we're taking a risk in building our dream. So I have this idea to create a clothing line so we can all say, hey, yeah, I'm a small business owner. I'm the man or I'm the woman. So the first piece of clothing that we're announcing for the small business series is a members only t-shirt for the Idea Collective. So this shirt is going to be available only to members inside the community or those that come to the retreat. So this shirt is now available as a gift with purchase to anyone that buys a ticket this week to the Idea Collective retreat. This offer goes away on Monday the 20th, and we have more games and prizes to encourage people, Erin, Marcus, to get their ticket to come to the retreat. So if you go to smallbizretreat.com, you can buy your ticket, and then we will hook you up with your ticket with purchase, your gift with purchase when you do it. That shirt and some of the other swag will be available at the retreat in the merch booth, which is going to be really, really cool. Next week, if you have a ticket by next week, you could win a massage at the retreat. I'm just saying they have a 4-star spa. So, we'll tell you more about that as well. Speaking of the retreat, we simply could not be doing it without our partners. And one of our partners happens to be on the call. So let's welcome in Megan Schwan of Sidekick Accounting. Megan, it's great to see you. So what's going on? How is the fall treating you? Are you getting back to business? Everything going well?
Yeah, the fall is always kind of our busy time as people kind of come back from summer. And I would have to say that was the case myself. I was able to take a lot of time off this summer to spend with my kids. So that was really nice. So yeah, we're hitting the ground running. I'm in the process of hiring again this year and getting my fourth quarter plans in order. I started at the beginning of this month because I know this fourth quarter is going to be really busy for me, and I want to make sure that I'm maximizing that time so that we can hit the ground really running in 2022. So building up the back end stuff, processes and systems and whatever, accountability for the team and all of that kind of stuff. So it's been busy, but I'm excited.
You have a really interesting story because as we've talked to you in the last 6 months or a year, in addition to I've got this accounting business, your story has consistently been growth, growth, growth. Like you're killing it. You're hiring people left and right. So before we talk about that, let's talk about what Sidekick Accounting does and who is it for?
Sure. So Sidekick Accounting does small business bookkeeping, accounting, and taxes and tax planning for small business owners. So we really help business owners understand their numbers and use their numbers, and also save money on taxes like the big guys do. So we're really excited to be able to help other business owners be successful. And I think the unique thing I get to bring is that I'm a business owner. So like a lot of the things I've had to apply to myself, I get to use to apply to other people's businesses and really help them reach the same level of success, if not more, than I have. And that's a really exciting thing to be able to do.
That's amazing. Now, as far as the growth is concerned, how quickly have you grown? You've been adding people left and right.
Yeah, so we hired 2 bookkeepers earlier this year, and then I'm hiring a tax preparer now and another person. And then I already have 6 people on my team. So we're looking at adding 8 and 9 before the end of the year, which is super crazy, but I'm really, really excited. And I'm excited because of the growth and, obviously the financial aspect of that. But I think the most exciting thing about this year with growing is that I'm able to do what I want to do in my business. It's not just I have to do it or, I'm forced to be able to do it. Like I can take the time off with my kids, or I can work on the side project or work on the content or the team building because I have this team. And that I think is the most exciting part about growth and adding to your team, is being able to start doing the things you want to do versus the things you have to do. Yeah. So that's been a really awesome part of this year as well.
And one of the things you were excited to do is be a partner with us for the Idea Collective retreat. I remember calling you and saying, hey, would Sidekick want to be one of our partners? And you were all over it. So why did you jump in so early? And what are you so excited about when it comes to the Idea Collective retreat?
Well, I am a big component of putting yourself around people that have the same ideas or mentality that you do. And Pat, I mean, like the way you want to help businesses or are helping, not even want to, like you're actually doing it. And just that giving nature, same thing with Erin and one of Erin's clients as well, just being able to be authentic build the community. Like owning your own business is hard. It's a lot of work. And like people like to romanticize is what I like to say. They like to romanticize having your own business. But the truth is that it's a lot of work. However, the other side of that is that their ceiling is like, there's no ceiling, right? You can go as big as you want or keep it as small as you want. You can, you know, do it for many different reasons. One of them might be financial, but maybe the other one is time, you know? So like, that's been part of my journey too. When I had kids, when I had 2 kids back to back and then separated from my ex, like I took time off. So we didn't grow at all that year, those 2 years, but you know, you can make what you want out of your business. And the help and the support that the Idea Collective and you specifically give to people is unmatched. And I just really wanted to support you and be a part of that. And I'm really excited for November.
Well, I appreciate that. And we're so glad you're a part of the community and a part of the retreat. It's going to be great. Last thing before we let you go, if someone wants to learn more about the services you provide, where do they find it and what should they do?
So the best way is to probably visit our website. So it's sidekick-accounting.com, or you can also email me at Megan, MEGAN at sidekick-accounting.com. Those would probably be the 2 best ways. There's a calendar link right on the website. So that's the way to get booked right away. Otherwise, you can feel free to message me on Facebook as well, and we can get that set up also. So
that's awesome. Megan Schwan, Sidekick Accounting, thank you for your support of the retreat, and we'll talk to you real soon. Thanks again. All right, so let's move on towards the big finish, shall we? If you're hearing about this Idea Collective thing and you want to be a part of the community, you can get in for free thanks to our friends at Bank 59. They'll give you 12 months free in the community. Just go to their website, bank59.com/Idea Collective, to learn more about how you can become a partner of their bank and enjoy 12 months of collaboration at no cost. A big thank you to Erin Marcus for coming on. I really was fascinated by our conversation today. And thank you to our sponsors, Bank 59, Quick Trip, and Serendipity Labs. I'm Pat Miller, the Idea Coach. It's always fun to talk to you Monday afternoons at 3 o'clock. We'll see you next week.